Hey, what's up gamers? Today I got the Retro Entertainment System. It is by Retrobit. Didn't take too long to get here. It is from China. It says designed in the USA. Well, we're gonna see about that. Let's open this bad boy up. Remember to cut away from you. Cut away. So, by the way, the box is pretty nice. Silver and black. It's definitely not the cheapest box. It's pretty sturdy, and it does have some decent box art on there. Okay. One audio, one video. It's our power supply. Cord looks fairly long. Wow, this thing is tiny. Wow, it weighs absolutely next to nothing. It is like the equivalent of a NES cartridge or something for being this size. Look down in there. It looks like it takes classic NES controllers. Buttons do feel sturdy. One audio, one video, one DC in. Wow, this thing weighs almost nothing. Let's take a look at the controllers. There's that classic Nintendo look. Alrighty. Alright guys, you know the drill. I'll be back in a few days and then we'll check out, we'll see what this bad boy can do. I also can do some comparison to the actual Nintendo top loader, and we'll do a side by side. So, I'll be back. Alright gamers, so it has been about a week and now we are back. As you can see, I have the Nintendo top loader and I have the Retrobit side by side. So let's start with the controllers. The control pads, the original NES controller does fit into the Retrobit, and it does play just like it does in Nintendo. There's actually pretty smooth, to be honest with you. And this is the controller for the Retrobit. You can see it's slightly smaller. Notice that the buttons are also diagonal. That diagonal shape, and it also being a little smaller, it's just a little awkward, especially when you're playing like Mario or Contra and you have to kind of do that run and gun thing. So just kind of throw you off a little bit. I would suggest, if you do have the NES controller, using that as opposed to this thing here. It does have the A and B and then BB and AA for some reason, and the slow is just, if you hit the slow, the game will pause and unpause and pause and unpause. And that is the Retrobit's version of slow motion. Here's start and select, and the D-pad is a little loose. It's actually not bad for the system, costing only $15–16. But again, if you do happen to have the NES controller laying around, I'll definitely go with that. And but if you're just looking to for a system just to play some retro games now and then, this one is not too bad. We're actually going to get to some gameplay in just a second. I'll show you how that actually stacks up and a side-by-side comparison with the NES. Now this paint job, it's like a single coat silver spray paint or something. It's pretty generic, and you can see there's already a scratch right there. So any little nothing will probably scratch that paint off. Again, this is a system, a budget console, and it actually emulates quite well. When I get to that gameplay and we do side by side, you can see what I'm talking about. But for it being 16 bucks, and you're getting 2 controllers and, you know, AV and stuff, it's not bad. So let's go ahead and jump into gameplay, and we can see what that looks like. Hello again. So I am back with some gameplay, this time on the retro bit. And if you could see, the screen to your left is the retro bit, and the screen to your right is the original NES. And you could see what the side-by-side comparison that the NES color saturation is. It's fairly even, and the screen to the left is the retro bit. The sand on there is very yellow. I don't know if you could notice or not, but the screen kind of on the top part, it kind of just kind of shifts back and forth a little bit throughout gameplay. Sometimes it goes away as I noticed that I was playing further. But for the most part, the gameplay plays well. The controller, I use the Retrobit controllers with on the Retrobit, and I use the original NES, and so just to really go through and test out the controllers. The control that came with the system was really responsive, and it worked well. I didn't have any trouble with the D-pad. I thought the D-pad was going to be a little weird because how much play it had in it. But again, the screen on the right is the NES, and the screen on the left is the Retro. And you can see the color saturation is just a little off with the Retro. But gameplay, was not affected at all. And really, once I started using the controller, I didn't notice that much of a difference as I thought I was going to. So, Caveman Games. This is the only game, for some reason, when I took the video, NES is on the right, that the characters look really washed out and faded. I'm not sure why it came out so faded on camera, but the colors are actually better. But this is the only game, if you're looking at the Caveman Games, it does look very well, and the characters have plenty of color in their pigmentation and stuff. So all in all, side-by-side comparison. Again, the gameplay, it's up to speed. It's just color variation. The controllers, I got used to really quick. I didn't notice after a while that I was using the Retrobit controller, and it didn't really have an effect on gameplay. Again, so Donkey Kong, Mario's the red has in his outfit, and you can see the color sort of like orange and stuff in the Retrobit on the left. So gameplay is it's there. Emulation is there. The controls work well. Again, it has like this double BB-AA, which does the exact same thing as B and A. I'm not sure why they have those there. And that's it as far as the control. So controls feel the same. The gameplay is the same. The color saturation is the biggest difference. And so what this boils down to is, like, is the system worth buying? So here's the thing. I like the system for what it is. I would give this system a 7 out of 10 because it does perform well. As soon as the games were plugged in, it worked just fine. It powered right up. But I noticed that when I was pulling out the cartridges that it was a little stiffer than the NES. Now that could be because the NES is older and it is worn in, but the NES doesn't have any problems playing the cartridges. So in other words, it's not that the pins are worn out or anything on the NES. I just think that the new console, the Retrobit, may in fact have cheaper material because it is a budget console. So Will I trust my cartridges over time in that system, that the pins won't apply the so-called death grip to the cartridges? And the answer is no. I would not trust it. So I liked the way the system performed. It did exactly what it was advertised to do. Played the NES games just perfect, except for the color discoloration and the tints. But overall, I don't think I could trust my classic NES cartridges in that system. So if you did happen to have, or if you wanted to spend the money on buying a multi-game cartridge, you know, those 30-in-1 or 150-in-1 or whatever, those are going to run you about $30. And if you plug that into the system and you don't have to pull that cartridge out ever again, it'll play just fine. And NES controllers work on it just fine, and the vice versa. The other Retrobit controllers work on the NES. So, having said that, if you're going to spend $30 for one of those and buy yourself one of these budget consoles, I would say just look into emulation, or you know, they have lots of different top loaders and the toaster style NES consoles on eBay that come refurbished, all original. I've read several articles that say stay away from the new 72-pin because a lot of times those materials are cheaper, and they may in fact you know, get your cartridges stuck in there. So overall, I'm gonna say just stick with the NES. If you really are looking into playing an older system and you can't get your hands on one of these NES classics because they're $300-400 on eBay, you know, you look into getting a top loader or original NES, and then buying one of those 151 NES cartridges, because they do work on Nintendo and NES. And I'll post some links on some of the best ones that are out there. That way, if you don't have a collection of NES games and you want to still play, you can grab a bunch of games in one cartridge and just maybe pick up an NES on eBay from some of the sellers out there that are refurbishing those. I honestly think that would be probably a better investment than buying this console. It did perform well. I like the console. I like the controllers worked out just fine, and the only difference I felt was the colors in there. But you know, I can't recommend you inserting you know, your old cartridges into there, because again, I don't know how long that thing would last, or until the pins gave out or something. So just to recap, taking a look at the console, you know, it has 2 controllers, your AV jack, and power supply, the console itself. If you're looking to you know, into these multi cartridges, there's also the Everdrive as well. So hope you guys like this video. If you have any questions or comments about this video or that console itself, just comment down below. Check us out on Instagram at Cheat Geeks Gaming, on Twitter at Cheat Geeks Games, and thank you for watching. Please hit like and subscribe. Happy gaming.